Well, great. So you obviously had success with overcoming some of these preconceived notions. How can other people overcome the preconceived notions about the next generation just coming in and being willing to jump ship for a little bit more money or to move to the southern beaches of California? How do you overcome these preconceived notions?
Oh, you're bringing up a great point. At the heart of this is this concept that you really need to wrap around and understand, which is this generation is very interested in balanced lives. They're not interested in working to the point that they don't enjoy things. They're looking for the ability to be able to have time off and looking for the ability, I mean, frankly, if there's a foot of snow in the mountains, finding a way for them to take a wellness day, those kind of things are actually pretty powerful in creating loyalty so that they're with you for years and years. There is a thinking now that work, there's an old phrase that, work is called work because it's not fun, or work should be hard. And this is not how this generation thinks about it. I think of it as the Google effect. They're very aware of companies like Google and Apple, that fun and enjoyment and balance is a part of it, and they all aspire to that. They're looking for that kind of company because they see that works. They see that those companies succeed and those people have fun, and they see companies where 100 people apply and only one gets accepted. So if you're able to create a context that supports that kind of thinking and recognize that as you bring quality of life as something you manage for, that's going to attract the very best of this generation. And some people think, well, I'll have HR do that stuff. I'll have some young guy, be the one that interfaces with that generation. But it doesn't work that way. It needs to come from the leadership. It needs to come from the leadership really understanding that they need to shift to the point of recognizing what's important to this generation and honor that, rather than have somebody else kind of take care of that and make sure our company is good for that generation of people.
Well, by that same token, I know we're talking a lot about this generation that's coming in right now, but isn't this something that all generations face? I mean, haven't we been through this before? Your parents saying that your generation is just slackers or not as committed as they are?
Oh, goodness, I think back, you think back to the 60s and the 70s where, the folks with the skinny ties would have been thinking, oh my gosh, what is this, this love child hippie that I'm hiring? So there certainly was a period that we went through back then that I'm sure was just like what's going on now, where people can understand. But there really is a divide here, I think, that ties into maybe the internet generation. Those of us that developed all our a lot of our business experience before maybe the mid-90s. We do have a challenge with those that are now coming into the workforce after that, because it was very different when things weren't as connected. So I tend to think, though, that going forward there's going to be an easier job of those that were developing their business chops in the internet generation, working with those new workers in those generations. So I think it will become easier as time goes on, but there's this transition, right around, I think of it as 1995, kind of that period where all of a sudden the world changed. Everybody started being able to communicate with everybody else. The technology came in, the ability to work in flexible ways, the ability to work from home, social media. There's those of us that were before that period and those of us that were after. And there is a lot to be gained, particularly from leadership, and recognizing this new generation and all they know is a very powerful thing you can take advantage of, but not from trying to figure out how they can be like the way we used to do it, but more from us as leaders understanding and moving towards and recognizing we need to shift to their set of values, and then you can take full advantage and be attracting the real talent from that generation.